I love Game of Thrones, but that was bad. Grossi Posse, Game of Thrones Nation. Welcome to another episode of Game of Toms. I'm your host, Tom Grossi, and today we are breaking down Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 5. And if you couldn't tell from the first 20 seconds, I wasn't a fan of tonight's episode, and I was hoping that they would adjust course. I didn't really like the way that things were going, but I was still watching. I was still a fan even. I was giving high scores to the other episodes, and I was like, all right, just wait and see. And we've been talking about this buildup, this foreshadowing of, oh, Daenerys, she's going to become the Mad Queen, and I'm like, please don't go that way. And then they just went that way. And I feel like, this is obviously before we get into like really in depth about the episode, I feel like it's just really rushed. I feel like it's really unearned. And considering Daenerys' character that they have built up for 8 seasons, I don't understand it. And listen, I don't have to like it, right? I'm not bashing it because I'm upset or like, like, oh man, this is so terrible. Like the Red Wedding, right? Like obviously a tragic event. I'm not like, oh my God, the writers are so bad. How could this happen? But like now I'm like, oh my God, the writers are so bad. How could this happen? I mean, like you literally have seasons and seasons of like Breaker of Chains, right? She's like freeing all the slaves, or even earlier with all like she stops the freaking Dothraki from raping people. She's like, you know what I mean? Like that. She's always been like a person of the people. Like in Marine, she's having like the slave masters be killed so people can be free. And then in this episode, she's like, you know what? I'm not just gonna go after Cersei. I'm just gonna burn everybody, including people in my own army who may be at risk. And I feel like it makes zero sense. And I feel like if they built up to that, right? And they gave more clues into her turning heel, if you will, I feel like it would have gone over better. I think it would have made more logical sense. But considering you had Daenerys in like episode 1 of season 8, who was like, oh, like she's a caring, compassionate, nurturing character. And in the course of 5 episodes, you just throw all of that out the window. And again, logically, it doesn't even make sense. I mean, I understand, listen, the whole idea of like, oh, she snapped because her closest advisor / best friend died. She has 2 dragons die. Like, I get all of it. Varys betrays her. Jon Snow betrays her. They're having a Mean Girls thing with Sansa. I get all of that. But, like, how could you raise this character up and be like, oh my God, like, she's going to be the greatest queen, and then just be like, nope, never mind. Like, that, we're just going to throw all of that out. I'm not happy with this decision, but listen, I'm just one person. You may have enjoyed this. But let's break down this episode. You have Varys in the very beginning, which I mean, Varys and Dany already had a conversation. She's like, if you ever betray me, I'm going to burn you alive. And hey, at least she keeps some of her promises. And so Varys, that's another character who did a complete 180. For seasons, he's been on Daenerys' side. He's like, oh man, she's going to be a great queen. She's going to save the world. She's going to be the person that sits on the Iron Throne. And then, like, she looked at someone, like, glaringly, like, at the freaking feast last episode, and Varys is like, I'm so triggered. She is literally the worst person and is going to kill everybody. Like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, the first 3 episodes of this season, she wasn't, like, there was no indication of her being the Mad Queen. And then it's just like, oh, never mind. No, this is it. And so he's going to send ravens that is going to tell that Jon Snow is really Aegon Targaryen, is the true heir. And then you have him going over and telling Jon Snow, and Jon's like, I don't want it. And then Tyrion goes and tells Dany Daenerys knew, and it's like, oh, I've been betrayed, but it's by Jon Snow because he told his family, which I think, again, is just stupid. Now, listen, Sansa shouldn't have told anybody, but it's just so dumb. It's just so dumb. But anyway, Varys, one of the smartest characters, or was one of the smartest characters in the series, he gets burnt alive. Tyrion's like, yep, it was me. My bad. And then he gets roasted. And even the thing that the writers at the very, like, at the little, like, after credits thing where they're explaining everything that's going on in the episode, they're like, the guilt that Tyrion feels is so extraordinary for the friend. And I'm like, then don't betray him. Like, it may, oh my God, it just, this is so bad. Like, I love Game of Thrones. I do a freaking fracking show about Game of Thrones, and this just, oh, this was, I was defending it this entire time, but this episode, no. But hey, Melisandre said that Varys was going to die in Westeros, and then there he goes. He dies by magic, the one thing that he absolutely hates. And then Daenerys says, oh, Tyrion, you have one more chance. If you betray me one more time or you fail me one more time, it will be your last time. So Tyrion's probably going to die in the next episode, considering he literally let Jaime go. And like, I actually really liked that scene. I liked the conversation that he had with Jaime. I think it was very raw. It was very real. I think that Tyrion's character has like been dumbed down incredibly for this season, or the past couple seasons. But all that being said, I really liked that interaction, that he's like, you were all that I had, and I liked that a lot. All this, I did like the team up again of like Arya and the Hound going in, and they're just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go kill Cersei. Like, bye. That's what's gonna happen. But she didn't. In addition, you also had, of course, Drogon and like the attack on King's Landing, in which all of a sudden nobody could hit Drogon after Rhaegal was like 3-shotted and freaking Euron Greyjoy was the greatest shot in the entire world. He wasn't even on a scorpion this episode. He was just standing on the boat going, what is that? Is that a dragon? Which, by the way, okay, they're in Blackwater Bay. Where the hell did the troops go when they were right outside of King's Landing? What beach is that? I feel like the geography has massively changed besides the random desert that randomly appeared. But that's whatever. Anyway, so Drogon goes through, and I like that they saw like the power of the dragon. I was like, yes, that was really awesome. It made no sense considering the context of last week and how easily Rhaegal was killed. But hey, screw continuity, right? And so the Golden Company, which was there, they showed up for 2 seconds. Drogon's just like, I'm going to use the back door. Why did no one think about that? And I'm going to burn everybody alive. And so that was really quick. That was whatever. The Dothraki start charging the streets, and then you have the soldiers very quickly, in which Cersei's like, oh, they'll fight for their queen until the last soldier. They'll fight. And then they drop the swords, which I thought was a really cool moment. And then they ring the bell, and I was like, yes, awesome. This is wonderful. Like, let's just go kill Cersei now. And then Daenerys is sitting on top of Drogon, on top of the walls, and she's like looking at the keep and is like, I'm going to go burn everybody alive. And it's not even like I'm going to go for Cersei. I'm just going to go and kill everyone, including potentially my own army, because there's plenty of Dothraki, there's plenty of Unsullied Jon Snows down there. She's like, I don't give a shit. I'm just going to burn everybody. That's fine. So logically, again, that doesn't make sense. And if you're saying she's acting out of emotion, the actions that she took in this episode make no sense in the context of her character. And again, she has no one to advise her. Maybe like there's no one there to kind of like hold her hand and be like, hey, you shouldn't do this. But those are lessons that she's learned the entire series. No. And like even in the beginning, like when they had like Jon talking with Dany and she was like kind of like kissing him, and she was like, oh, I don't have any love here. It's just fear. Like a very Machiavellian conversation. Now, listen, like I teach Machiavelli, right? The whole idea of is it better to be feared or loved? And I see where she's coming from of like, no one loves me here, so they might as well fear me. Machiavelli in The Prince literally says you shouldn't indiscriminately just kill people, because then they're going to hate you and then they're going to overthrow you. So if you had to choose between fear and love, fear is the safer option, but she's just killing people. So they're going to hate her as well as be afraid of her. So that just is a spit in the face to Machiavelli. That's a little history lesson. And so, again, even that just doesn't make sense. But anyway, Daenerys decides to start killing everyone. Grey Worm's like, hey, it's a party. Let's just start killing everybody. And it's like Black Friday, and they are just starting to indiscriminately kill absolutely everybody. So, whatever. Like, I feel like this would have been much better. Like, if Dany like went straight for Cersei, right? And was like, I'm going to burn the keep to the ground, and like there was a lot of collateral damage and like all those people within the keep died, I would totally get that. I would be totally happy with that. But like it was just so pointless. Like I understand she's pissed off, but like You won. You did it. Go and burn Cersei. And you know what? If you kill some civilians, fine. You know what? I'll get it. But this, it just, so dumb. So dumb. Anyway, besides that, you also, of course, had Euron and Jaime fight. And that was, I mean, at least Euron died. But even Euron saying, like, I'm the one that killed Jaime Lannister. I was just like, no, just no. Just so no. Then, of course, you have the Hound and Arya having their final scene, and that I actually liked. Some people might have a problem with that scene, but, like, this arc that Arya's been on of, like, she's a cold-blooded killer, like, she's growing, like, she had the relationship with the Hound and left him for dead and what have you. And then he basically was like, listen, like, if you go with me, you're going to die. Like, which I think Arya had every intention of doing, right? She even said in the last episode she's not planning on coming back, just like the Hound. And so I really like that moment between them in which they, like, were kind of like, it changed her course. Like, I don't know if she's going to run around and, like, go get married to Gendry now, but I didn't mind that scene at all. I was pretty happy with that. And plus, then we got the best scene in the entire episode, and that's the Cleganebowl, baby! Finally, after 8 seasons, we got the freaking Cleganebowl, which, oh my god, Qyburn getting his head smashed against the wall was the greatest thing in the entire world. He's like, Sir Gregor, poof, done, thank you. Like, that was a beautiful moment. And so that was a fun fight. I thought we were gonna get Oberyn 2.0, but, like, the Hound, like, decided to spear him through a wall, and they fell into their death into the fire. And so that's the end of those two characters. And I think they had great arcs. That was fun. I was okay with that. All that, how that went down. That was good. By the way, he also looked like Varys on steroids. The Mountain. I don't know why, but he did. Then, of course, you have Jaime and Cersei going out together. I thought for a second they were going to escape, and I was like, good God, if that's how that ends. But Jaime throwing away that entire redemption arc, and literally it's just like, Brienne who? I don't care. And I'm just going to go. And I actually thought that was a very, like, poignant scene with Cersei. I thought it was a very emotional scene, like, of Cersei breaking down of, like, hey, like, you know, like, I want my baby to live, which you should have thought about. And I liked all of that. Of course, they had to go out together. And I don't actually mind the fact that Jaime didn't get redeemed, considering, like, you know, he realizes that, like, if Cersei's, like, his drug, like, he's an addict, and, like, he realizes, like, I'm not a good person. I've killed my cousin. I've thrown people out windows. I've done terrible things for Cersei. Like, this is where I belong. Like, and, you know, Cersei dying in the arms of the man that she loves, even though she wanted to kill him 2 episodes ago. So, like, I was okay with how that ended. You know, Cersei, I think, was obviously, like, the best villain. It definitely wasn't the Night King through the entire series, and she got killed by a bunch of rocks. You know, I think she could have gone out better, but them going out together, I didn't mind that. Not too bad. That was fine. But overall, I just think it was a very out of character moment for Daenerys. And again, if she just killed a bunch of people while trying to kill Cersei, fine. I got that, and I would have been fine with that. But for her to just go unimpeded for, like, the half of that episode, just killing people randomly, just made very little sense to me at all. But Grey Worm saw Jon, like, obviously betraying what Dany what Dany was ordering, and so I feel like that's gonna come to a head. I think Tyrion's dead in the next episode, and so what's gonna happen? Like, you know, Arya had a thing with a horse. Is she gonna kill Daenerys? Is Jon gonna kill Daenerys? Is Sansa gonna kill? Like, I don't know. Like, there's a lot to pick up, and there's 1 episode left, and I feel like I'm a bit disappointed. I am disappointed, and again, it's not necessarily the characters. Like, it's not that, like, what they're doing that it's upsetting me. It's why they're doing it doesn't fit within the characters that have been developed for the past 8 seasons. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty bummed out by this episode. There were some beautiful moments that were really cool, but I think it was rushed. I think it didn't make a lot of sense for a lot of the characters involved. Even Jon, like, he's like, oh, like, this is really, really bad. Like, no crap, dude. Yeah, this is really, really bad. And I don't know. It's just, I'm disappointed. Daenerys deserved better. And, yeah, she's the Mad Queen now, so that's a thing. And we'll see. We'll see who kills her next episode. But let me know what you thought down in the comments below. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com, TomGrossI Comedy, at TomGrossiComedy, and all the social media you see down below. We'll be back for one final episode of Game of Toms next week. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. at least Tormund's still alive. I mean, like that's what I have to go on.